adjustable pinball machine. We need to make two identical frames, 4 foot by 2 foot. I'm using 1.5 by 1.25 inch wood, held together with L-shaped steel brackets and reinforced with 2.5 inch screws. Now join the frames together with a couple of strong door hinges. So what we have is a folding base like this. Now we can determine exactly the angle or the height of the table. Obviously, the higher the table, the greater the speed of the ball. After some experimenting, an angle of about 15 degrees gives a height of 8 cm and will allow good acceleration of the ball. Using 1 inch aluminium curtain rail, fit these rings 33 centimeters from the 4 corners of the frame. And the advantage of using curtain rail in this manner is that we can replace the 8 centimeter tubes with 10 centimeter tubes at any time. This will make the game much harder by increasing the height of the playing surface. This is what differentiates my table from all other pinball machines. It's adjustable. And on the bottom of the frame, hidden away, I made a little stand. I passed a screw through a piece of wood where the two 10 centimeter tubes can be stored. For the top of the table, we'll use 1 centimeter plyboard, and on top I'll stick this blue marble lino. So I'll just cut the lino to the right size. Okay, we'll cover the surface with wood glue. Place this on top and pop some additional weights on it just to make sure, and then we'll leave it overnight. In the meantime, we've got to give consideration as to what type of ball we're going to use. This will then dictate the two most important things on a pinball table: the flippers and the firing mechanism. I've chosen a 1 inch steel ball, and that means the flipper must be at least 1 inch in height, and I've mounted it onto a piece of wood. The firing mechanism is just a doorstop with a piece of rubber glued to the tip. Alright, here comes the complicated bit, the flipper mechanism. When we have our hands here and we're pressing in, we need some form of engineering that will then push the flipper forward. After a bit of trial and error, what seems to work is a smaller tube placed inside the larger 1 inch curtain rail, so that when pressure is applied from this side and it hits the flipper in this manner, the firing mechanism in its completed form then needs to be mounted on the side of the table. What we've got so far is a flipper that goes forwards, but now I need a mechanism which will pull the flipper backwards. So I'm going to insert a small screw here, and by using 2 little rubber bands which we attach around there and onto the flipper will go forward by being pushed here, and this block, just a block of wood with the elastic band, will pull the flipper back. So let's see if it works. Well, that's very effective, so all we need now is a right-hand flipper mechanism. Now this is the difficult bit, getting right underneath and screwing on these back wooden bases. It's a fiddly job. Can't get good purchase on it, Joe. Pop on a couple of elastic bands using this bracket for a curtain frame. Put him here, a couple of little washers, screw him on. This will give decent support for the curtain rail tube. And then just tighten him here at the front. Make sure he doesn't slip about. And hopefully we now have 2 successful working flippers. There we are. You probably noticed that the flippers don't line up exactly in the middle of the table. If we measure it out, there's an extra 2.5 inches or so on this side, and that's because the firing mechanism requires some form of ramp. What I've come up with is a ramp made out of wood that is 4 inches high at one end, and the channel is just over 1 inch, so it'll take the width of the ball. The ramp needs a couple of little support brackets, one at the back there and another one in at the front. The firing mechanism itself has to be positioned carefully in between the 2 runners so that the firing pin is exactly in the middle. Now the sides need to be fitted. Just wood covered with the same black, is actually car seat covering. Looks rather effective. One here and one of course on the other side. Now, having fitted the 2 sideboards, we'll just pop on the board at the back. Okay, with its sides on, it's now looking much more like a solid pinball table. So, let's use this enormous screw and attach the ramp nice and firmly. There we are, to the base. I'm not sure if you can see this, but we need a couple of little screws on the bracket at the back of the ramp. Okay, so what we've got at the end of the first day is a nice square box. We've got our ramp, we've got our 2 flippers, and we've got our firing mechanism. So let's just give it a little go.